Welcome to Ghostly Tales, where the unexplained is brought to life, and where every shadow hides a story. Tonight, I invite you on a journey, one that stretches across continents, through mountains and forests, and into the rarest corners of our world. We are going to explore something almost no one talks about, the two suspended lakes that exist on this planet. Yes, only two. Out of all the rivers, seas, and oceans, there are just two lakes that defy the rules of nature, perched impossibly, as if the earth itself decided to hold its breath and keep a secret. The first is Hanging Lake, Colorado, USA, a turquoise jewel tucked high in the Rocky Mountains, suspended on the edge of cliffs that look too fragile to cradle a body of water. For centuries, visitors have whispered about strange sights in its misty reflections, lights that dance where there should be none, shadows that ripple without wind, and voices that call when the mountains fall silent. The second lies far across the Atlantic, hidden in the heart of Nigeria, Iyake Lake, the only suspended lake in Africa, and one of the greatest mysteries in West African folklore. A lake said to have no bottom. A lake feared and worshipped by the locals, where sacrifices were once made, and where even today, many will not dare to swim. Some say those who enter never come out. Others believe the lake is a gate between the living and the spirit world. Think about that for a moment. Two lakes, half a world apart, both clinging to the impossible, both wrapped in mysteries that science struggles to fully explain. Coincidence? Or something more? These places are not just geological wonders. They are living archives of fear, hope, and unanswered questions. Each lake has its own hauntings, its own stories of those who dared to go too close, and its own whispers in the night that remind us, water remembers. So tonight, we'll open the case files on these two suspended lakes. We'll journey into the mist of Colorado's high cliffs, and then descend into the deep-rooted traditions of Nigeria's ancient hills. Along the way, we'll meet the legends, the eyewitnesses, and the unexplained encounters that continue to unsettle all who visit. But before we begin, take a moment. Ask yourself this: if you stood at the edge of a lake that shouldn't exist, would you dare to look into its depths? Before we dive in, make sure you're subscribed to Ghostly Tales and hit the notification bell. What we reveal today might rewrite everything you thought you knew about the supernatural. Stay with us, because the real terror is just beginning. GT01, Hanging Lake, the mirror of the Rockies. High in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado lies a lake that should not exist. Perched on the edge of cliffs at over 7,000 feet, Hanging Lake is held in place as if suspended by invisible hands. Its waters are crystal clear, glowing turquoise under the sun, and yet it appears fragile. Delicate, as though the weight of a single drop could send it crashing down the canyon. But this beauty hides something strange. Locals call it the mirror of the Rockies, not just for its shimmering reflections, but because those reflections sometimes don't behave the way they should. Hikers who make the grueling climb to Hanging Lake speak of more than just aching legs and breathtaking views. Some describe an uneasy silence that falls near the final trail, birds stop singing, winds grow still, and the only sound left is the thundering of waterfalls feeding the lake. And then, the lake itself. To gaze into it is to feel as though you're staring into another world. Some have claimed to see their reflection smile when they didn't. Others saw figures standing beside them, when in reality, they stood alone. One story dates back to the 1930s, when a group of climbers set up camp near the lake. That night, they reported hearing voices calling from the water, soft at first, then urgent, pleading. One man swore he saw a woman beneath the surface, her hand pressed against the water's edge. He reached out instinctively, only for her face to vanish, leaving ripples that spread across the entire lake. Park rangers in the modern day brush these off as exhaustion or hallucination from the altitude. But some rangers privately admit they avoid being there alone after dark. One even confessed he heard footsteps circling him while he patrolled, though the soil was damp and left no tracks. Native Ute tribes once told stories of the lake being guarded by spirits, watchers of the mountains who punished those who disrespected nature. Offerings were made near its waters, prayers whispered into the mist of its waterfalls. Whether out of fear or reverence, the lake has always demanded respect. To this day, no one has explained why the lake formed as it did, suspended, defying erosion, held in a perfect bowl of travertine. Some call it geology. Others whisper that it is being held there by something unseen. And perhaps, the reflections in its waters are more than tricks of the light. But if Hanging Lake is the mirror of the Rockies, then across the world is a far darker secret, one said to have no bottom. A lake feared, not for what you see in it, but for what you never see again once you enter. GT02, Iyake Lake, the bottomless secret. Deep in the hills of Ado-Awaye in Oyo State, Nigeria, lies one of Africa's most mysterious natural wonders, Iyake Lake. It is the only suspended lake on the continent, resting impossibly on the peak of a mountain. Unlike Hanging Lake, there are no wooden walkways, no tourist-friendly trails. To reach it, one must climb, sometimes on hands and knees, up ancient stone paths. And when you finally arrive, the sight is unlike anything else in the world, a body of water held aloft, as though the earth itself has chosen to hide it from all but the bravest. But beauty is not the first word that comes to mind when you look upon Iyake. For centuries, it has been called the bottomless lake. Local legend insists no one has ever found its end. Those who sank beneath its surface never returned. The people of Ado-Awaye have always believed the lake is sacred. Some say it is home to powerful spirits, guardians who watch over the land. Others believe it is a passage to the spirit world, a gateway between the living and the dead. Sacrifices were once made at its banks, offerings left to appease whatever force dwelled below. A chilling tale is often told, that of a young man, centuries ago, who dared to swim across the lake to prove his courage. He reached halfway, before his body vanished beneath the water, as if pulled from below. His friends waited, calling his name, but he never surfaced again. Since then, few have dared to enter the lake, and those who do are warned, Iyake takes what it wants. Even in modern times, the stories persist. Some visitors report hearing drumming and chanting by the water, though no one is around. Others describe strange whirlpools appearing without wind, spinning violently before disappearing. One climber in recent years claimed he saw faces just below the surface, faces that twisted into skulls before dissolving. Geologists studying Iyake admit the lake is unusual. Its depth remains unknown, no equipment has ever successfully measured its bottom. Theories of underground tunnels or collapsed caves exist, but none have been proven. It is as though the lake refuses to give up its secrets. Standing at its edge, you feel it, the presence. The air grows heavier, the silence deeper. Some say the lake watches you, waits for you, and if your spirit is unworthy, it will claim you. 2 lakes. One in the high mountains of Colorado, one in the sacred hills of Nigeria. both suspended, both shrouded in mystery, both holding stories that suggest water is not just life, but also memory, and sometimes death. Science tells us these are rare geological phenomena. Hanging Lake was formed by travertine deposits, Iyake by collapsed caves and hidden springs. But no explanation has ever fully silenced the whispers. Because what do we do with the tales that don't fit? The reflections that move when we stand still? The whirlpools that appear from nowhere? The people who never came back? Perhaps these lakes are reminders that not everything in our world is meant to be solved, measured, or explained. That some places are meant to humble us, to stand as gateways between what we know and what we fear. When you stare into Hanging Lake, are you truly seeing yourself, or something waiting beneath? And if you stood at Iyake's edge, staring into its black depths, would you dare believe it has no bottom? Or worse, would you dare to find out? Which one chills you more, the mirror of the Rockies, or the bottomless lake of Nigeria? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you've felt the goosebumps tonight, don't forget to subscribe to Ghostly Tales and hit that bell icon. Because this is only the beginning. Around the world, waters whisper. And the next time you see your reflection, it may not belong to you. Until next time, this has been Ghostly Tales. Stay curious, stay watchful, and above all, stay spooky.